And in this video we impersonate Benny from Crossroads, we attempt some artisanal carpentry, we poke a finger in a hole, but looking at this you can see we do some counting. Number 1, number 2, 3, and we hide behind an engine. Hello, welcome to Tweed's Garage. In this video we're continuing work on the Honda CB250 RS final drive seal. So we're trying to find out whether you can shorten the time changing this seal because it's sort of ribbed, not for pleasure. What you have to do is split the cases, but to split the cases according to all the manuals is you work from the top of the engine down. So you take the rocker assembly off, cylinder head, barrel, piston, and then lift the top case, replace the seal, and then pop it all back together. But these were Courier bikes, and a sort of Courier legend was that you could sort of flip the engine upside down, just undo the cases, lift the bottom case, and take out the old seal, pop in a new one. So we continue work with that. So he left me, I timed up all the balance shaft and the crank and made sure all the chain lined up where it should line up, and we're getting ready to split the cases and see if we can change that seal without doing a top end strip down. Alright, so come along. Okay, now we've got the chains where we want them. Start taking the top bolts out, because then I need to flip it upside down and do the bottom bolts, and put on my little jig that I've come up with. We've been busy with the carpentry. Let's do the old pokey again, just saves time. Okay, just make the holes ready and just mark them up in a torque sequence. So this is my solution. Rather than a Black & Decker workmate, we've got 2 pieces of gash ply, sort of off-cut timber here. So they're just bolted through the rear engine mounts with a bit of threaded bar, just sort of cobbled together. So this will be the backrest, back foot, and hopefully the front of the engine will rest on this part of the rocker cover. And we've just got a piece of steel that's sort of bent over enough to fit through that bolt hole there, and screwed to the back part of the frame there, just to act as a spreader bar to stop it going this way or that way. And then hopefully I'll flip it upside down and be able to work on it safely from the bottom. Well, that worked okay. It's as sturdy as anything. So all I've got to do is undo these and then release this tensioner here, mark it, and then that should be all that's stopping this from lifting up. I've turned it this way so you can see the tensioner, and also so I can remember where it goes if I forget, because I've been filming it. So just undo these bolts on the top that way. That's number 1, that's number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, can't write now when it's all oily, 9, and then again do it on the cardboard, punch some holes through and stick them in there. Get a bit full up, this bit of cardboard. Okay, let's get these undone. Saves throwing the engine across the bench. Yeah, somebody has been in here before. They're all graphite grease on them. I doubt it was a Honda done it. Okay, so that's all the bolts out. None at the back, no, the top ones take care of that. If there's anywhere we can knock the case, sort of designed so you can knock the top case up, but we can lift it and bosh it down, I suppose. I don't think there's anywhere here. No, Okay, let's take the kickstart off, we don't need that on that. A few things to be aware of if you're taking one of these apart. Little clutch mushroom falls out the outside case, that rests on there like that. And then the other thing that falls out, I don't think it should do, is this clutch bearing here. It's quite a loose fit in there, you can actually spin the outer race round, which is not ideal. So when we put it back together, I'll degrease that, put a bit of bearing fit around there. Otherwise the bearing isn't doing its job. There's a possibility of it all spinning. I'm sure it won't, because it's sort of pushing in that way, but yeah, you don't want it the outer race spinning if you can help it. So a bit of bearing fit on there just to keep that in place, but we'll move that out for now. Put it somewhere where it's not going to get oily. Oh, I've got some little bags. Got some little bags, look. Put it in a little bag. 2x2, they're pretty useless, aren't they? Yeah. There we go. You said I wasn't organised. Baggy. Bearing. Put it down there. Okay. Right, I need to release this. Yeah, this down here. So I think we've got a 12 bolt there. And if you look, there's some lines, but I don't know what they equate to. But we roughly know where it is. I will take a picture of it. Always reference photographs. So we need to take this bolt out because it's attached to this side of the case. So we need to get that out so we can release that and undo that spring. All we want to do is take that bolt out. Holes in line with about the second. Take that spring off there. Oh, there you go. It goes. It's not a lot of tension on there, just enough. Okay, that should be it. So not what I've got to try and do now is see if the cases will move up. So I'll come back to you in a bit. Started to separate quite easily. I've just put a bolt in there and a tie wrap, cable tie around the crank just to keep it pulled down against the chains in the top half of the engine. I think there might be a couple of dowels at the back here, so I'll just warm them up before we go any further. This makes life a bit easier. Probably get under there actually, give a little tap. But the stand's working well. The only thing I've got to keep an eye on is the selectors where they hang down onto the gears, but hopefully you don't go up too far, just enough to be able to get in and clean these faces up and put sealant back on them again. We should be able to change that, reseal it, pop it back down, and nobody's none the wiser. Apologies if the sound is a bit low. I'm sort of playing with the GoPro at the moment and haven't got my mics hooked to this one. Heat's just wicking away there. Tapping stick. Keep that as close to the case as possible. Yeah, it's going quite nicely. Ah, there's only one dowel in there. Don't know where the other one's gone. What's the dowel between friends? Sitting down, yeah, that's sitting down quite nicely. What are we doing back here? Hopefully the cam chain will be holding that into the crankshaft. Where was I tapping this? Yeah, it's moving. There we go. There we go. I think we're about there. There's some worrying yellow goop around there. There we go. I think we're free. Check where those gear selectors are. We can just raise it enough that they remain engaged. Now I think somebody just used well seal actually. Okay, let's get me little wedges. There's one there. Definitely two. Yeah, I can see the selectors just there. Okay, one selector there. Can't see the other. I reckon that's about high enough, you know. Okay, right, we've got it lifted up, and I reckon, yeah, I reckon a Corrier's had this before. It's got a Wimbledon number plate, dealer plate on it, so it's definitely a London bike originally. And you can see there's some sort of cut marks around here, and it's sort of poking out a bit there. But when I look at the seal, the actual lip, see, it should have this lip all the way around it, has been cut off, which was one of the old tricks. Just sort of not go as far as I have, just split the cases and tap in the new seal. So this one should come straight out like that. There we go. Oh yeah, that's knackered, look, spring's fallen out. Surface looks okay, bearing surface, a little bit of scoring, not too bad though. There you go. So what we'll do is clean up all this area, get there some goop here, look, somebody's gooped it in. But you know, when it's gooping up there, there's an oil way up there, so we'll check that's okay as well. I'm sure it is, the bike ran fine, the oil was good. So oh, I see, yeah, they've damaged the case there. How far in does that go? I shall investigate. I think just a bit of filler on there. Once this ridge is in that groove, that should stop most of it leaking out. But yeah, maybe that was, I don't think that was the issue though. I think it was leaking around the seal, you know, around here. Anyway, that's the result. I think our selectors are hanging down in there. Yeah, I can see them. So we don't want to go any further than that. But it looks like the legend might be true. And then also the legend about cutting the lip off and banging them in was also true. Right, carry on. So here we got the new seal ready to go in, and as you can see, it has a lip or ridge all the way around it to retain it in the crankcases. This is the original one, which you can see doesn't have the lip on it. Somebody knew the old dispatcher rider trick and has cut it off, and judging by the tears in the front of it, has bashed it in along with a bit of glue, I think, to try and repair that damage done taking the old one out. But as you can see, also the inner lip sort of's gone and the springs fallen out, so yeah, due for replacement. Hopefully pop this one in, and it should last a lot longer if we put it in properly. Well, nearly properly. Right, whilst we've got the engine apart, I'm just going to give these have been sprayed over before, so I'm just going to give them a bit of wet and dry, degrease, and just a bit of a Cornish restoration, as they used to call it. Mask it all up and spray thick gloss paint all over it. I've ordered, I think the last video I did say I was going to order new kickstart seals. It wasn't leaking, but looking at this, you can see it's all perished around the outside edge. On the outside it's okay, on the inside, but it's on its way out, so we'll hook that out and yeah, just tidy that edge up with a file there that somebody's hit, and then just give it a tart up just so it looks a bit smarter when we put it back on the bike. Although it's a hack, you know, keep it tidy. Okay, see if we can hook that out. There we go, easy peasy. Right, carry on rubbing it down. Getting it ready for paint. So, time for the Cornish restoration. What's a Cornish restoration, Mr. Tweed? Well, it used to be, we used to call it up here, when people went on holiday down to Cornwall, the wise old Cornish, when classic cars started to get popular, dragged out all their rusty old wrecks and they'd be patched up with newspaper and chicken wire and body filler and sanded down and then given a very thick coat of gloss paint, probably acrylic, and they look wonderful. Yeah, and people bought them and drove them home. Yeah, and then everything fell out. Yeah, so just a quick Cornish restoration on these. Yeah, so we just taped up the wiring looms and the levers and taped up the holes, stopped the paint going in. Got new oil seals go to kickstart and gear change. Discovered the oil drain plug has been helicoiled. I was going to sort of turn up a bigger bolt to the thread of the helicoil, but you know, it works, so we'll leave it alone for now. So we were busy with the metal epoxy putty Evo stick, just a two-part thing that you mix together like plasticine, and use this dental tool to spread it in there to sort of try and follow the profile of this machining. Then let that go off 24 hours, come in with a bit of wet and dry, and again using the end of this tool, it's got a nice round profile that matches the base of the seal face. Just carefully sanded that down with a bit of wet and dry, so that's nice and solid in there. That's not going to go anywhere, and it will be underneath the seal when it's all popped in there. So the next thing to do is clean up the surface faces, ready for a new application of weld seal. Pop the seal in and bolt the engine all back together. Nearly ready to go. Got the gasket faces all cleaned up, and it looks like they originally used weld seal or something very similar at the factory, because there's no sign of any silicone sealant on all the cases. So I'm going to use weld seal. Yeah, same colour, see. So yeah, anybody that says different, and that's what they used, that's what I'm going to use. So cleaned up all the faces with the weld seal. We used some sticker remover, seemed to get most of it off quite easily, so that's good. Did think of using paint stripper, but then you know, there's a possibility of it attacking the paint of your engine cases. So I'm going to put well seal along here because this is an outside face, all along the back here, all along the front, inwards a little bit, but not worry about the middle because this is all open in the inside. You know, there's sort of, it's all open there where the oil comes through, so you're not achieving anything by putting gasket sealer down here and down there, apart from sort of gluing it together a little bit firmer. So as long as all the outside surfaces are covered, then we've got the cases that go on that keep all the oil in there. Job's a good one. What I am going to do is put a little bit of well seal around the outside edge of the seal just to sort of help it. I thought it will be fine. It'll definitely be fine, but it's just an extra bit of insurance because it's not a genuine Honda one. It's a sort of pattern one, but it's the same make as the one I took out, so it must be a fairly good one. NOK, yeah, Japanese. Anyway, I'm sure Honda don't make them. They get somebody else to make them. So we just paint some well seal on here, around here, and then we'll pop this seal on there. I'll just get a bit of oil, smear a bit of oil on there, and then we can drop the cases down and start to button it back up again, remembering to take the wedges out. But yeah, let me get you in, show you the selectors so you can see them close up. You see one there? There's one back there behind that gear, and it's still hanging down on the groove between the gears. And there's another one. See those two gears there? You can just see the top of the other selector fork there, just sitting there above the groove, but it hasn't come up enough to drop out. So when we drop it all back down, that should all clip back into place very nicely. Right, not sure how much caught of that. We're just putting the well seal on this side of it. Put some this side. I'll do this once I drop the back down a bit. Don't want to lift it up too much because the selectors will fall out. But yeah, get a nice coating on there. I'll put a coating all round the seal. Okay, we're back. It got a bit sticky. It's quite a fight to get it over this chamfer. So what I had to do was tilt it, get the lip of the seal on the bottom side of this bush, and then with a slender screwdriver, just carefully, run it round so it popped on, and is now sitting on the shaft quite nicely. And it did, because I was sort of trying to push it on and struggle to get it on. It done exactly what this one had done. The spring, the sort of pressure spring from behind the lip, had popped out, so I had to put that back in first. Yeah, that was fun. Anyway, I got that done. That's in. Just check we haven't put our fat fingers all over our sealing surface. Our well seal there. I think we're okay. Just put it there. That's sitting in there nicely. Might have knocked it a bit there. Looks all okay. Selector's where it should be. Yep, one there, one there. What is that hanging up on? Shaft a bit of a tap. Okay, doing something wrong. Let's take that seal out. It's not that causing the issue. High drama. Maybe one of the selectors has fallen out. Right, I'll come back to you. Found what it is. Locating dowel. Drop down just in there behind this bearing, stopping the case from going down. Little devil. Okay, so found a problem. Yep, I've had to take the top case off, which is what we didn't want to do, but anyway, we had to do it because what had fallen out was a little locating dowel. This one here sits in there, and it's sort of like an oil way dowel. It allows oil to flow around here and down here and into the back of the gear there, into the gearbox. So what I've done is I'll pop a bit of grease on there just to hold it in place. There's another locating pip there that locates on here, so that had moved a little bit, so we'll put that back in line. And I've taken these sort of C locator, I don't know what you call them, C rings like this, out of the housing and just sat them on top of the bearings because yeah, a couple of them were tight, but that one was a bit loose. So hopefully now we'll be able to drop it back down, seal it up again. Not what we wanted to do, so I've got to get the gear selectors to go in there, here and here. Yeah, we could see these two, couldn't see this one, but this one you can see through this way, so I think we can poke that with a stick or something to get that to straddle either side of the gear cluster there. Let's carry on. A bit of grease, got this semi-liquid grease, that'll do. As soon as the oil pressure builds up, that'll just pump that out of the way. Troublesome little devil. It was very hard to find in the Haynes diagram because it was somewhere else. It's all getting out of control here as usual. It's not what we wanted to fully achieve, but yeah, we still haven't taken the top end apart, which you don't want to do if you can help it, because cylinder head and rocker assembly and that is the aluminium's not such good quality. Most of them have been helicoiled within an inch of their lives. Okay, right, put the sticky stuff away and give that a quick light coating. Mind you, it's so fat and in there so tight, I don't think there's any chance of it leaking till it wears out. Okay, right, here we go. Make sure the selectors are sitting in those. Flip it upside down. Those two. There we go. They are on. Yeah, that one was where we left it. That one was where it's supposed to be, and that one's where it's supposed to be. And I would say they all line up with the drum, otherwise they wouldn't be going in. I'd say that's gone in because it's closed quite nicely. The only worry is, I think that's just the squish on the seal, because there's a gap at the top, but it's tight on each side. Yeah, that seems alright. I think that will tighten down. See, it closes up. It's quite a fat seal. Fat seal. to. Oh, gap's closing up now. Yeah. When I do it again, well, I hope not to do it again, but if I've done it again, I know what I'm doing, and also I'm not filming it, which, yeah, if you don't do filming, yeah, it takes at least 3 times as long, and if it's going to go wrong, it will go wrong when you're filming. It's just the nature of the beast. Right. Just whiz this out of the way for a minute. Simple as that. Turn it back upside down again. So like that. Like that. Pull that through. I don't know if it's just something dangling and knocking backwards and forwards or what it is. It's like something rattling around. Well, I'm glad I took the engine apart again. Stainless steel nut. So that's not Honda. God knows where that come from. Oh well, mystery solved. Crisis averted. Right, I've been busy cleaning off the gaskets, and the gasket faces aren't too bad. We just got a little high spot here and here, so we'll just run a whetstone over that. You can feel it rocking on the high spots, so just go over it. And you'll feel when it's gone, you'll get a uniform sound out there. It's taken that little high spot off there. Just the other side. I think we're okay this side. We've got a couple the other side to take off. Yeah, one there. Just a little nick there. And a couple down there. Where's that one? Just take that one off there. I'll just swing it upside down, catch those two there. Then just gently, without digging into the aluminium, just scrape off the last remains of the gasket. Run it over as broad a surface as you can. Keep it as flat as possible. There we go. That's that little nub gone there. That'll do it. You can tell by the sound when you've got it. You've got it. Right. There we go. Right, I think it's time to start final torquing up the bolts. Okay, let's start doing the final torquing up. We've got 2 torque wrenches. This one goes down for the lower settings because this only goes up to 18.5. So yeah, we need the bigger one for the 20 foot-pound for the lower bolt. So the torque settings are for the smaller ones, 6mm ones are 7 to 10 foot-pounds, and then the large one is 16 to 19. Let's do 8. And then we've got our torque sequence as well, and the bottom ones are 7 to 10. So we'll go up to 10 on there. 19 on there, which we are. We'll do 20 for the bottom. Yep. Not a huge amount of torque to do them up, so yeah, you don't need to nut them down. There we go. Okay, just put the stand back on one last time. Makes it easier putting the side cases on with it upside down. Right, next thing to do is I'll put the spring back on the tensioner for the balance chains, and then I'll push it over in an anti-clockwise direction as far as it will go, and that's tensioning the chain right up. That's about as far as it will go. And then there is a little arrow on the back of the casing there. You line up with the marks there, and then you move it back one segment on these lines against the spring tension. So there, nip that up. Need to put a bit of Loctite on that bearing, and then we can put this case on. So for the bearing, just put a little magnet in the middle like that. Bit of bearing fit around the outside. Hang on, my nozzle's gummed up. Only need a small amount just to stop it spinning. Just ease some around there like that. Will do. And then if we pop it in there, the magnet holds it nice and flat against the clutch face there, whilst the Loctite goes off. Oh! Power of magnets. Yeah, they're stuck on my toolbox. And whilst we're waiting for that to go on, we'll put the kickstart spring back together. So you've got shoulder washer, spring, goes on there like that. Then there is a mark on the kickstart stroke decompressor cam here. And then that lines up. There is a mark, a little punch, looks like a little oil hole, but there's a little mark on the bottom of the shaft there, so you've got to line that mark up with that hole there, out to there. So that's the position for that, just there. And I think that's all that goes back on this side. So let's go and find the gaskets. Move that decompressor arm over the cam, line those up there, and then a little tappy tap, and that should go home quite nicely. That seems to be all okay. Yeah, clutch is pushing the case back out. Right, just get these bolts in the right places. Put the dipstick in, because we don't want another mystery nut going in the engine for the next person. There we go. I'm awaiting an Amazon delivery. Going to replace these connectors, trim the ends up, and also run some heat sleeving down because the insulation is a bit tatty at the engine end. So I can whip this sleeving off and put some heat shrink down, and that will tidy them up. I'll leave that for now, I don't want to pull it around too much. Kickstart to go on. Yep, I seem to remember that was facing directly downwards, so we'll nip that up. Oh, that's not the original bolt. Somebody's done a job on that. Alright, another thing to sort out. Oh, it's been welded as well. There we go, proper 8mm Allen bolt to go in. I'll put a bit of thread locker on it. It's quite tight in there. Stop it rattling around. It's better having the 8mm in there than piddly little 6mm nut and bolt. There you go. So just check we've got our gear selector in properly and all the washers and springs that should be in there. Got to put the flywheel back on, but I'm just checking that my timing marks still line up. So yeah, the white paint on the chain there lines up with that dot there. This one will come round to there. I'll turn it round just to double check, and then the other one at the back should just be making contact, should just be able to sort of about to lie in place with the back sprocket. So let's have a look, see. Dot, dot, dot. Yep, lines up that tooth. This should line up with that tooth there. And that lines up with that one there. There you go. So that's all fine. I'll give it a couple of revolutions, but it won't line up on the next time round. It takes quite a few turns to get them back to where they should be. There we go. It'll probably smoke when we start it up. I've had it upside down with all the oil going down the piston. But there you go. Balance of chain, tension sorted, all back together. So we'll line the slot up there with the key there. And sort of goes the wrong way round, as you sort of imagine it. There we go. Right, that's most of that case on. I was having a bit of a fight with this. It wouldn't go back on, and it was all bent up. This had to reshape all this bracket, so it must have had a chain come off sometime in its life. Oh, duty calls. So a few jobs I thought I'd do before we put the engine back in the bike is one of the exhaust studs has been replaced by a bit of stainless steel rod and heady coiled. One of these was loose and came out. I did get the nut off, but the threads are quite wasted with rust behind, so I'm going to attempt to try and take these other three studs out and replace them. I've just got some stainless steel 6mm threaded rod to go in, but we'll just gently heat them and see if we can get these three out and replace them with something that's not going to rust away. Right, bit of heat. And then try this stud removal. undone. Yeah, that one's coming undone. Unfortunately, we can't get this on the other two because the fins get in the way. Okay, there's one out. That one's all right. That may have been the one that was loose, actually. Give it a little rock backwards and forwards as well, just so make sure it doesn't bind up and pull the thread with it. As I said, the aluminium wasn't the best quality at the time for some reason. So rinse and repeat. See if we can double nut this one. So we run one nut down as far as we can, and then another one on top of it, and then tighten them onto each other, lock them together, and that'll hopefully act like the head of a bolt. Put a 10mm spanner behind, lock that together. Just rock it backwards and forwards a bit. Gently, gently. As soon as it starts to bind up, turn it the other way. There we go. No aluminium on the old one. So good job done. So what I'll do is I'll trim these down to the same length as the old studs, and put chamfer on them and then pop them in. Okay, that's the studs turned up. Just faced them off and chamfered the ends. The other ends are okay. That's where they were cut off the bolts previously. We'll pop these back on the bike. There you go. Put a bit of copper slip on them if ever they need to come out again. I might just need to double nut them to screw them in. No sniggering at the back. All new stainless studs. Back in there. So there you go, that'll do you for now, and next time do the valve clearances, show you how to do that, pop the engine back in the bike, tidy up the wiring, put new connectors on, you know, crimp them on, and go through and do that, put the new seals in when they turn up, new chain and sprocket, and then see if it runs. Happy days. Okay, so that'll be next time. In this video, so we just proved the two legends that yes, you can cut the lip off the new seal, rip out the old seal, mash the new seal in with a hammer, but you probably end up damaging it and having to redo it again. So yeah, you can do it, not advisable. Second legend, yes, you can lift the bottom of the engine up, change the seal fairly easily, not too difficult, apart from, yeah, nuts getting in there somehow. And that little dowel falling out, and also those shafts moving, so you've got to be a little bit aware of that, those pip indents are, you know, pointing upwards. And the other worry is about taking it off. I'd say lift the whole case off rather than fiddling around like I was trying to do. The selectors, although they're tricky, they're fairly easy to fidget back in when you drop the case back down again, so I wouldn't worry about it. So there you go, that'll do you. So I'd just like to thank you all for coming along for the journey, all the old regulars and the new ones. The channel's going very well, that's all good. Thanks to those that have found the hype button. I think it's only available on the mobile app and on your what they're called, tablets, that kind of thing. I don't think it's on the PCs or on your TV. It doesn't come up on that option. But for those that have done it, thanks very much. And yeah, give us a like, hit subscribe, all that, blah de blah. See you next time. All right, cheerio. Right, Jenkins, I want a word with you throwing nuts around the workshop. We attempt some artisanal. Right, a few jobs I thought of. We attempt some artisanal. You won't sell any ice creams at that speed.